All right, it is a snowy day here in the cemetery, so let's talk about collecting snow for spiritual, paranormal reasons. So why in the world would you want to collect cemetery water or snow, which obviously then melts into water? Why would you want to collect that, and what can you do with it? There are so many uses for cemetery water. Essentially, though, you would be utilizing cemetery water or cemetery snow to help you connect to the other side, to the other realm, to help you kind of pass through that veil, to see into the other side, or to connect with energies from that other side. And why does this work? Well, the snow settles into the cemetery, or the water. I mean, you could always set out a jar or something when it's raining, or collect water some way that way. But with the snow, for example, because it is snowing, you collect the snow and it basically is imbued with the energy of the cemetery. And what are cemeteries? They are literally a gathering place for the dead and the living. And cemeteries themselves, there's a lot of discussion of, are cemeteries actually haunted or not? I think that they are, but not every cemetery is haunted in the traditional sense. I have found that cemeteries, more often than not, are kind of the energy is thinner at a cemetery, and it's easier to connect to the other side, whether that's living beings, animal spirits, nature spirits, maybe even aliens, I don't know. And so the idea with the snow, the cemetery snow, is that it is imbued with that energy, with that frequency. And so then when you bring that frequency into your own practice, your own spiritual practice, your own paranormal practice, it can help you to connect to the other side. It can help you to thin that veil and to kind of be that avenue to reach out to the unseen. So how exactly can you utilize the snow? There's a lot of different ways that you can utilize it. I like to put it in a spray bottle, and before I do any paranormal investigations, I like to spritz it over myself and kind of basically coating my aura in this cemetery water, in the essence of the other side. You could also take some of the water and dab it onto your third eye to help you connect to the other side, especially maybe if you're working on your mediumship work or something like that. This cemetery water on your third eye could help to specifically kind of correlate your frequencies with the energy of the dead. You could anoint your different tools, your spiritual tools, your tarot cards if you want. Obviously, you don't soak them in the water. You could dip your pendulum into it and then utilize that to communicate with the other side, with the pendulum that's been imbued with the cemetery water. You could even do that with your paranormal equipment. So, maybe dab a little bit of the cemetery water onto your spirit box or your proximity sensor or something like that to maybe kind of help to connect with the other side. All right, so how the heck do you collect this cemetery snow, this cemetery water? I like to get a glass jar, and let me back up. When you first enter the cemetery, it's good to leave an offering. You don't have to leave an offering every time you visit a cemetery, but if you're going to be doing any sort of spirit work at the cemetery, especially if you're going to be taking something like any plant material, maybe you want to collect pine needles from one of the cemetery pine trees. That could be a whole other video. But if you're going to be taking the snow or the water from the cemetery, you definitely want to leave an offering. And it's a good idea to leave the offering at the entrance to the cemetery or the cemetery gates. And kind of you're leaving that offering to the spirits as a whole of the cemetery, as well as the cemetery guardian. If at any point you feel like you shouldn't be doing this, then maybe the cemetery guardian doesn't like your offering, or maybe they're just like, yeah, please don't, we don't want to be involved in your work, in your spiritual paranormal work, and that's okay. So pay attention to that. But if you feel like you've gotten the okay and you've given an offering, then you can collect your snow. I personally like to collect the snow more at the entrance to the cemetery, right there at the gate, or even collect some of the snow from the gate. And this is for a couple of reasons. I personally like to collect falling in holes here. I personally like to collect the snow more at the entrance because I feel like then you're getting just kind of the general overall energy of the cemetery. Whereas if you kind of start to wander into the cemetery and collect snow off of any of the graves or near any of the graves, you could be getting more of the essence of that individual that might be buried there. versus just the general cemetery energy, if that makes sense. The second reason for why I prefer to collect it near the front of the cemetery at the gate is because we're utilizing the cemetery water as kind of to help us past the threshold, to help us cross boundaries, cross the gate to the other side, to a different realm, to a different energy frequency. And so what better way than to utilize the snow, the water, literally from the gate of the cemetery where you're crossing from the land of the living into the land of the dead. All about symbolism, baby. Anyway, so that is kind of, obviously then say thank you, and then utilize it how you wish. I keep it in the jar, like I said, until I put it into like a spray bottle, and I utilize it that way. But yeah, go on out, go to your favorite cemetery. It does also help too if you, it doesn't, not required, but if you get it from a cemetery that you actually have kind of maybe a little bit of a relationship with, that just kind of, I don't know, strengthens that connection from yourself to the energy of that space. Anyway, if you give this a try, let me know. Post a picture of it on social media, tag me, ShariceWilliams.xo on, I think, pretty much all the platforms. But yeah, happy spirit work and paranormal stuff and witchy life to you. Okay, bye. I asked the cemetery spirits what they thought of our use of cemetery water and snow to connect with the other side, and pulled the strength card. They feel very strong about it. They feel like it helps to strengthen not only our connection to the other side, but their connection to our side.